Well, see, what's nice, like, some of those touchdowns,
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you.
Did you hear me?
Yes, sir. We
Okay.
can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Chairman.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, do we have 4 commissioners on board? I got John. I got Commissioner Tonjes. Who else is on? Hilma, Commissioner Chenoweth, are you on?
Jerry.
Good afternoon.
Commissioner Chenoweth. I see she's logged in, but I don't.
There we go.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I want to remind everybody that we're on a Zoom meeting, which means that every time that you speak, make sure you identify yourself, and everything we do will be on a roll call vote. So with that being said, I want to call to order the special virtual STC meeting of September 9th, 2025 at approximately 1:02. I want to know, let the record reflect that there are 4 commissioners via Zoom. I just got a thing that said that it's being recorded. So there is 4 commissioners on Zoom. And if we could do a roll call vote so that we can establish a quorum.
Commissioner McElroy,
Here.
Commissioner Tonjes,
Here.
Commissioner Chenoweth,
Here.
Chairman Adams,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner Lundstrom.
So let the record for that 4 are present and a quorum has been established. With that, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. If you will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Commissioner Chenoweth will continue.
Certainly. This is always tricky on screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that, you fellow commissioners have had a chance to review the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or any other comments at this time? Before we approve the agenda, I have a question for the secretary.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman, we're here.
Okay, yeah. When we got the original agenda, there was only one agenda item, and then we got an updated one, and it had a second agenda item. And I was wondering what was the addition?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I believe that it was determined between us and New Mexico Finance Authority that we request action on 2 separate resolutions instead of just one. And so it doesn't really expand the scope of the meeting. We just will have 2 separate resolutions instead of one.
Okay. Is there any other questions, comments, or if not, what is the pleasure of the commission to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Tonjes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by, was that Commissioner Chenoweth?
Commissioner McElroy.
Okay, Commissioner McElroy. Can we get a roll call?
Commissioner McElroy,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonjes,
Yes.
Commissioner Chinoweth,
Yes.
Chairman Adams.
Yes. So the agenda has been approved. We'll go on now to, we'll just go ahead and skip welcoming remarks. And we'll go on to public comment. Is there anyone from the public at this time that would want to speak before or come before this commission? If not, then we will move on to action item. Action item resolution 2025-3, and I'll turn it over now to you, Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll get us started, and then I'll be handing off to our General Counsel, John Newell, to go through the nature of the resolutions. I just want to provide some background. And so you were provided in your packet for this meeting a document called the New Mexico Border Highway Connector Project Summary, and I'll just really be summarizing that for you very quickly. The Border Highway Connector Project, it's a new location, roadway corridor providing a relief route for New Mexico 136 by connecting the Santa Teresa Land Port of Entry by way of Pete Domenici Highway to the east with New Mexico 273, which sits in the city of Sunland Park. In total, this first phase of the project is an 8.3-mile corridor that will essentially expand the local and regional transportation network, serving as an arterial roadway within the border region transportation system, expanding regional mobility for commuter traffic, local traffic, the possible movement of freight and goods. As you all are aware, we've provided some updates about the project over the last commission meetings, and given the priority of this, the state's administration to really focus in on leveraging the Santa Teresa Port of Entry to provide economic development opportunities, business expansion, and the courting of new industries to the state is very critical to New Mexico's growth. And so just some history on the project. In 2022, the New Mexico Department of Transportation submitted a grant for an infra grant to support the Border Highway Project, Phase 1. At the time, it was estimated that Phase 1, which is the 8.3-mile corridor we'll be talking about today, was estimated to cost about $80 million. The commitment in that grant submission was a 60% grant-funded project and a 40% non-federal match commitment by the state. That probably tracks with the maximum infra awards that are available. So it's our understanding that infra grants provide $45 million in funds at the high end. And so in order to leverage that grant, we essentially committed $35 million at the time, or 40% of the total project cost. Since then, the legislature has supported the ongoing design of that road. The original funds were awarded to New Mexico Border Authority, and we worked through an agreement with New Mexico Border Authority to assist them in the completion of the design for this first phase. Since then, the total cost of the project for Phase 1 has risen from $80 million to $170 million, and our 60% and our 40% non-federal match commitment remains the same, which means now that at a minimum, our non-federal match must be $68 million. However, given that the only other financial commitment we have programmed on the project is that $45 million infra grant, which means that the gap to get this project obligated is $125 million at this time. To do as a means for saving on total project cost for this first phase, we have already requested a deviation from scope from the Federal Highway Administration, essentially reducing what was proposed as a 4-lane road to a 2-lane road, building out the infrastructure to add the additional east and westbound lanes later on. And so we provided in that document that immediately now that saves us about $40 million that would be necessary later in the project to finish out Phase 1 as a 4-lane road. The primary reason we're in front of you today on the special meeting is because we're running into an obstacle around timing for obligating this project. So I'll take you back now to the 2025 legislative session. We understood that this grant needed to be obligated within FY26. More specifically, the grant needed to be obligated by the end of the federal fiscal year, which is the end of this month. Because the portal in which we obligate the funding closes mid-month, we have an internal deadline to get this project obligated by September 16th. So when we went into the legislative session, we worked with the governor's office to include in her executive budget rec $150 million of non-recurring funding. There were two projects that were going to be priority for the use of that $150 million. This was one of them, and the other is the Nogal Bridge replacement, which is also tied to a federal award. And so when the session started, we had that executive rec for $150 million for this project. As you're aware, we also introduced House Bill 145, which was going to provide you with $1.5 billion in bonding authority. As that bill made its way through the House and ultimately through the Senate, legislative leaders believed that it would then become our primary budget source for this and any other priority projects. Ultimately, the $150 million in non-recurring funding was removed from our budget as our bonding bill made its way to the Senate. When our bonding bill did not pass the Senate chamber, House Bill 2 was then approved, and it didn't include any non-recurring funding for this project. And because the bonding bill didn't make it, it also eliminated that as an option for funding the border highway connector. As you're aware, we've been talking with the leadership about the possibility of including this in a special session as a critical priority to avoid losing this grant. The timing of that special session with when we need to obligate this grant became something that we were concerned with over the past couple of months, as the governor worked diligently to work with legislative leaders to negotiate a robust agenda for us, productive special session. And so a couple months ago, we started exploring alternatives that would help us identify a secure funding source that Federal Highway would approve so that we could obligate this grant in concurrence with the award requirements. We started a discussion with New Mexico Finance Authority several weeks ago, essentially leveraging our ability to borrow money from them under the New Mexico Finance Authority Act. And so our legal teams work with their staff and legal teams to essentially craft a funding proposal that leverages bonding authority that this commission was granted several years ago. And so as John Newell will explain, we're essentially going to New Mexico Finance Authority for two essential anticipation notes. The first is a $50 million bond anticipation note, leveraging your $50 million in bonding authority pursuant to statute, and a revenue anticipation note, essentially leveraging commitment from legislative leaders that they ultimately will provide some funding to eliminate the need to actually borrow from New Mexico Finance Authority at all. And so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to John Newell.
Let
Sure.
Secretary, let me just ask a question. So
Please.
if we're going to see if the legislature gives us the money in order for us not to have to pay back the loan, correct?
Well, actually, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, New Mexico Finance Authority is offering us these loans as lines of credit, providing them as short-term loans. And so at this time, we're not actually going to draw down. And so we won't actually be drawing and securing funds from New Mexico Finance Authority. As you'll recall from the document we sent, the project is not ready for construction until 2027. And so at this time, we wouldn't draw on the loans, so we wouldn't actually be paying back any debt service on any of the loans.
Right, but eventually we would, correct?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, if the legislature were not able to provide us with the funding, our option would be one, the commission could borrow or issue the bonds that you already have available pursuant to statute. That would be $50 million. And then the commission would We would then go to the legislature to get authority to essentially repay back the 75 million in revenue anticipation notes, and we would borrow that.
Okay, yeah, and then now let's go to the worst scenario. If the legislature didn't approve for us to go to bonding, where would that leave us?
Sure. And so, Mr. Chairman, that would leave us right back to here, finding creative ways to essentially shore up the project.
Okay, we can go ahead and listen to John.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and members of the commission. So with your permission, I would like to share my screen.
Yes, that's fine.
If I can make this work. Okay. Okay, you now should be seeing a document titled State of New Mexico State Transportation Commission Resolution number 25 or 2025-3. Are you all able to see that?
Yes.
Okay. So as Secretary Serna indicated, I've been working with NMFA's General Counsel Mark Chaikin, as well as their outside counsel, Brad Patterson. Mr. Chaikin couldn't be on the call today, but Mr. Patterson is here. And in case there are questions I can't answer on these resolutions, NMFA had drafted the resolutions and provided them to me for review. And there are a couple areas I really wanted to highlight for you. So on this first one, this is the bond anticipation note resolution. And as Secretary Serna mentioned, we have bonding capacity of $50 million that can be used for this project. It's statutory bonding capacity. And what this resolution does is the department and the commission are agreeing to leverage those $50 million in bonds against this note. And if we were to have to pay back the note, we can look at section 5, section 4 and 5 here. Section 4, actually, and this one's the most important. So sale of bonds. The commission and the department covenant that they shall issue or cause to be issued on behalf of the department obligations subject to applicable law, and any amount necessary to retire the notes prior to or upon their maturity. And what that section means is we are pledging these bonds amount. We won't be issuing the bonds right now, but if we were to have to pay, we were have to draw on this note and then pay, we're pledging bonds in the amount of $50 million to do so. And that is, I think, the most important part of this resolution is this section 4. This is what the commission and the department are promising to do. The rest of the resolution should look relatively familiar. The commission has seen these types of resolutions before for issuing bonds themselves. This one's just looking at it is, instead of issuing a bond, this is to gain the note that would be in anticipation of the bond, allowing us to have the line of credit that the secretary mentioned. Just going through the rest of this resolution, just really quickly, we have the terms of repayment. We have, which we had already talked about. I did want to point out the form of the notes, which is what the issued note would look like were we to draw down. There's a certificate of authentication, which would have to be signed. And importantly, the form of the note purchase agreement. This provides the form of what the commission and the department would have to sign if we were to issue to draw down on these, or when these notes are approved. And I actually want to clarify that with just a second. With Mr. Patterson. Are you available, Mr. Patterson?
Oops. Yes, I'm here.
All right. So, and I realized that I wasn't I'm not sure I ever asked this question. So the note purchase agreement, we would sign now, but would it only come into effect if there was a drawdown on the?
Yeah, essentially,
credit.
I mean, in the event that the department ever decides to issue the notes, I mean, this resolution authorizes their issuance, but there are certain conditions that have to be satisfied in order for this finance authority to proceed forward. And at the point in time that those conditions are satisfied, meaning the department's indication that it's going to go forward with the transaction, then the note purchase agreement will be executed.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Sure thing.
So on this bond anticipation note resolution, does the commission have any questions?
Well, I was do you recommend this then?
So this is, the best I can say is it's legally sufficient to do what the Secretary Cerna and the department are looking to do.
Okay.
You know, we have the legal authority to issue these bonds, and the NMFA has the legal authority to provide us with this anticipation note.
Yeah, the legality and all that I'm comfortable with. That's not the question. Is that the agreement is recommended as written. I'm not saying, and again, I know that.
Yes, I work with NMFA, and I am comfortable recommending that if the commission decides to, if the commission approves this, I would recommend signing it in its current form.
Okay. Fellow commissioners, is there any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Maybe.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Tonjes.
Thank you. Secretary Cerna, would you please just spend a little more time talking about, the roads within the area? Sounds like that is the priority or a priority of the governor, but also of the district, I'm assuming. I don't know, not familiar with NM 136 and what the status is, but sounds like clearly inadequate to be able to achieve all that you're hoping to achieve here. And separately, would you please address the discrepancy between that original estimate and the cost today?
Sure thing, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner. I'll take the first part, and then I'll hand the other over perhaps to either Jolene or Mr. Quintana to discuss a little bit the cost escalation pieces. And so we essentially had started to evaluate whether or not there were alternative routes. Primarily, P. Domenici and McNutt, I believe, are the two are the corridor. It would essentially be north on P. Domenici and east on McNutt Road, tying into I-10, which is a 4-lane road in both directions. What's occurred essentially is, I believe, a total of 5 interchange, nine. Yep. And so what essentially occurred. Sorry, I think I got muted.
Yep.
And so what essentially occurred, and apologies, we're discussing here, P. Domenici and McNutt Road is essentially not a good alternative route because since the road has been developed, 9 intersections have been developed along the corridor leading to I-10, which still falls on Texas side. And so what we would need to do as an alternative to leveraging existing infrastructure for this type of corridor is essentially determine how to address those intersections with heavy truck traffic moving through them as a major corridor for movement of goods in that region. And so what that would essentially call for is the cost of grade separations on those interchanges or intersections so that we could provide the type of relief route we're hoping to achieve with the Border Highway Connector. And so there has been some preliminary work to identify this as the most logical approach to creating that route, as opposed to leveraging existing infrastructure. And if I can, I'm going to hand things off to Mr. Quintana, who's on the call, as you know, our chief engineer, to discuss some of what's happened with the cost of the project and why it's at its current engineer's estimate.
Thank you.
Pardon, Mr. Chair, commission members of the commission, I just took a minute to get to my mute button. Am I coming in okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you're fine, Dave.
Okay, so I mean, as I think I've presented to the commission a couple of years back, cost escalations since the pandemic, you know, specifically really between 2020 and 2021, around the time that we got this grant, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that initial cost inflation that we saw, construction cost inflation between 2021 and 2022 was about 25%. Since then, we've probably been looking, you know, at anywhere between 10 and 15% since then. So, you know, the overall time period between the awarding of the grant and the actual latest engineer's estimate, we were looking at a significant cost increase in construction that's evident by the engineer's estimate. So, you know, right now we're looking at current prices about 50% above what they were prior to the pandemic. So that's really the main reason for the escalation in these cost prices.
Thank you.
Chairman Adams.
Did you have any other questions, Commissioner Tonjes?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, is there any other questions and comments from fellow commissioners?
Yes, Chairman Adams.
Go ahead, Commissioner Chenoweth.
Thank you. I would like to ask, what is the risk of, is there a downside to doing this that we should be aware of versus the risk of not doing it? Because I do think we can understand losing the grant if we don't meet our commitment. But are there other risks that we should be aware of?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I think that is the real risk, right? Is again, like the chairman said, if the legislature wouldn't authorize the debt service obligation so that we could access the notes, then we're back to where we started here. And that's really the situation we're in. But the risk of not having another solution is losing the grant. And so that's essentially the greatest exposure for the agency. And then, of course, the ripple effect is the impact that would have to economic growth in the state, which we haven't calculated, but we understand it to be significant.
And Secretary, they would have until the legislature would had to approve it on this next 2026 legislative session, correct?
That would be correct, Mr. Chairman. That way, by the end of calendar year 2026, the project is, without any uncertainty, ready to be let.
Okay. Do you have any other questions or comments, Commissioner Chenoweth?
No, that's it, essentially. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Secretary
Commissioner
General.
Macro, you have any comments?
Just to get a clarification, I know you haven't gone over the other resolution yet, but essentially what it sounds to me in simple terms is what we're doing here is just providing a line of credit, and we don't really have to use it as long as things fall into place with the legislature and federal funding. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, that's a very concise way and accurate way of essentially summarizing what we're doing. We needed to do this in a formal way to ensure that Federal Highway Administration knew that we weren't creating yet another interim and contingent measure that wasn't providing some security for funding. And so to be sure, we needed to create a mechanism that assured Federal Highway Administration that we did have a means for moving this project through construction. And so you're absolutely correct. The option to not leverage this line of credit is baked into our ability to tell New Mexico Finance Authority, never mind, we got legislative funding, we're going to use that revenue instead.
Okay. I guess one other question, maybe this directed to David. Are you reasonably comfortable with this estimate? I mean, we're talking about not letting this project for another year based on your timeline that you sent us. And I know you had escalation costs in there built into this estimate. Are you reasonably comfortable with that, or are we going to be looking at more than 170 million before this thing's said and done to go to construction? I guess it's kind of a hard question, but anyways, kind of wanted to get David's thoughts on that.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner McElroy, that's a great question. I think 125 is the current gap. And we probably will see some escalation, but we did put some significant contingency to the tune of about 30% right now. And I think, and I think at this point, we're fairly comfortable with that, especially since if it does escalate, I think we would have it, and we would have the capacity within our program to fill that gap with additional federal dollars, because it wouldn't be such a huge gap. We'd probably be talking about a couple million, maybe 5 million, or whatever the case may be. We could fill that with our federal program and do some adjustments with existing projects to make it work.
Okay. That's all the questions I have right now.
Okay, no other questions. One last question is, if it gets approved, are you going to have to come before the commission again to get approval to actually spend the money, or is this going to take care of everything?
So, Mr. Chairman, once you approve the resolution, these will go before New Mexico Finance Authority Board tomorrow during their special meeting at 11 a.m. If we need to move forward with the strategy, there will likely be action to essentially issue the bonds as part of the bond anticipation note. And I'll just defer very quickly to Mr. Lovato to see if he anticipates that there would be any additional action needed.
Yeah, it would end up having to get commission approval once the bonds are going to be issued. At that point, it would just set terms and conditions, and then it will go towards the NMFA board as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? Do we need to cover resolution 2, or it all falls into the same category?
Mr. Chairman, it mainly falls into the same category, but I wanted to point out section 4 for this one so that you understand that what the commission and department are covenanting to do, what we're promising to do here, is take all action necessary to secure an appropriation from the New Mexico State Legislature in the amount necessary to retire this note. So this is called a revenue anticipation note. And this is what Secretary Serna was mentioning about going to the legislature to ask for specific appropriation that will then take, this note is issued in, or this resolution, then the note would be issued in anticipation of this revenue. If the legislature approves the revenue, given the structure we have here, then we would never have to draw down on the note. But I did want the commission to understand that that's what we're promising to do as a department and commission, is to seek an appropriation. And then if we were to use we were to access and draw funds from the revenue anticipation note, it would have to be paid from funding appropriated by the legislature.
Okay. So if I put it up now for a vote, I can just include both resolutions in the same action, correct? Or did you want to do?
I think it would be cleaner to do them in 2 different votes.
Okay. So is there any other comments or from fellow commissioners? Mr. Secretary, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of both these resolutions. I thank you for your flexibility. I think this is a measure that really does call, a number of our partners and stakeholders to action to really create some funding stability for the department. And so I thank you for entertaining this action and recommend approval.
Okay, what is the commission's pleasure? Do I have a motion on the resolution 2025-3 authorizing the issuance and sale of the New Mexico Department of Transportation bond anticipation notes, providing for the sale of these notes to the New Mexico Finance Authority, providing that the proceeds of the notes will be used for interim financing of a road and infrastructure project. That is action item A on, do I have a motion?
A motion to approve resolution 2025-3.
Hey, second.
What's up? I asked them when the PCE date was.
I'm sorry, Cindy, you've come off of mute.
I have a motion from Commissioner McElroy. Do I have a second?
Second from Commissioner Chenoweth.
I have a second from Commissioner Chenoweth to approve. Can we get a roll call vote on the approval of resolution 2025-3?
Commissioner McElroy,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonjes,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth,
Yes.
Chairman Adams.
Yes, so that carries unanimously. We'll now move on to resolution 2025-4 on the B, and that's authorizing the issuance and sale of the New Mexico Department of Transportation revenue anticipation notes, providing for the sale of the notes to the New Mexico Finance Authority, providing that the proceeds of the notes will be used for interim financing of a road and infrastructure project. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move for approval for resolution 2025-4.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner McElroy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Tonjes. Can we get a roll call vote?
Commissioner McElroy,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonjes,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth,
Yes.
Chairman Adams.
Yes. So the resolution 25-4 carries unanimously also. And with that, I think, is there any other comments or any other business to be brought before this commission?
Mr. Chairman, just on behalf of all of the team that's working very diligently on this project, including, D1, I really appreciate your action and approval. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners.
You're welcome. And then we will see everybody next Thursday, and we should have all the agenda and all the books out by Thursday. Correct, Tammy?
That's correct.
Thank you. And we appreciate your work too. So with that, there's no other business. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at approximately 1:39?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Chenoweth. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by both Commissioner McElroy and Tonjes. Can I get a roll call vote?
Commissioner McElroy,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonjes,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth,
Yes.
Chairman Adams.
Yes, we are officially adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.